I'm terrific, thank you.
Good. Boy, we have it is amazing to me all the things the media has just dropped the ball on. Now we find out over the weekend that Barack Obama is going to put the coal industry out of business.
You know, it's not just the coal industry. If you put the coal industry out of business, which of course represents about 80% of the electric power we create, how are we going to get the electricity necessary to power these electric cars we're so excited about? And how is our economy going to run if we're not using the resource we have in this country? We've got to have clean coal, we've got to have nuclear, we've got to have offshore drilling, and Barack Obama is towing the line of the extreme left-wing environmentalists that will frankly close our economy and make it impossible for America to compete. It's a job-killing program.
As a businessman, Mitt, you look at the policies of Barack Obama, and you look at those policies. Murdoch today came out and said, between the coal and the unions and everything else, this is just his policies are going to destroy the economy.
You know, he's out there selling the message of change, and everybody wants things to get better, so change sounds good. But the problem is, in all of my political career and in my business life, I've looked at a lot of policies. I've never seen a combination of policies so designed to slow an economy and kill jobs as those that Barack Obama's put forward.
So then why would somebody like Warren Buffett, because he keeps playing the Warren Buffett card, Warren Buffett's on my side, Volcker is on my side.
Well, Warren Buffett is a guy who has enough money to buy the entire planet, and Warren Buffett has a lot of friends among the Hollywood folks, and I'm sure Warren Buffett is genuine in his support. But I'd love to sit down with Warren Buffett. My guess is I'd be able to convince Warren Buffett. I don't think he's given any thought whatsoever. My guess is Warren Buffett has never even heard, for instance, of this card check bill that basically says they're going to impose unions through intimidation on small businesses across this country. You're going to kill the engine of new job growth in this country with that proposal, and it hasn't even been talked about in his presidential campaign. So some of us who do know what Barack Obama's up to are convinced that, for instance, his position on coal, we just heard about that last night for the first time. I don't think Warren Buffett has heard the whole picture.
When you talk about the union thing, I've been looking back historically speaking. In 1937, the Supreme Court allowed the unions to really have a monopoly in businesses, and we went into a depression within a depression. This is being compared to that kind of a move, that this will really impact business. Can you explain to the average person that this is not hype? This is something real?
Well, I actually think this union effort, this card check effort, and basically what it is that every business in America right now, if a union wants to unionize your business, why the voters the workers get a chance to vote and to have a secret ballot. The Democrats and Barack Obama want to take away the secret ballot so that people don't get a chance to vote on this. Instead, they can go house to house and intimidate people and make them sign a card, and if they get half the workers to sign a card, automatically. Well, now a small business with, let's say, 20 people, they've now got the Teamsters in there telling them how they have to run their business, and they're in a setting where they got to get labor lawyers telling them what things they can do and they can't do. This will have the most massive impact on America's competitiveness of anything that's happened in the last 50 years. And I'm very troubled by it, and it hasn't even been spoken about in this presidential campaign because it's hard to explain.
Why do you suppose the media is so in bed with Barack Obama to levels that we have never, ever seen before?
Well, I frankly think that a lot of the media, of course, have their own feelings and their own. It's a bias, of course. Some are biased positive, some biased negative, some Republican, some Democrat. People have a right to express their own view. That's the nature of a free press. But, you've got a lot of liberals in the media, and so they love Barack Obama. They love what he talks about, but I don't think they have any experience whatsoever. That is, I'm talking about liberals in the media, any experience in the job world, in creating jobs. A lot of them, by the way, are seeing their jobs go away, and they hope Barack Obama will, change the law so, you can't take away their jobs.
There's a piece of video now on the Drudge Report from Congressman Nadler, and he is talking about how Barack Obama did not have the political courage. Now, this is a supporter of Obama.
Yeah.
He didn't have the political courage to leave his church. I haven't seen any political courage. When we our back is up against a wall, internationally speaking, with Iran, with Russia, with Venezuela, with these countries that become more and more dangerous the more oil collapses. Isn't political courage something that we should see demonstrated in our president?
Well,
before we need it on a global scale?
It's one of the things that's most troubling to me is that the Democratic Party has selected a nominee who has not been tested. He's an intelligent guy. That you can tell. He speaks well. He reads the teleprompter well. But he has not been tested under fire. He's not been tested as a leader. He's not been tested to see if he can work across the aisle. And frankly, he may do just fine if he's elected, or he may be a disaster. But we just don't know. And that's why in the world that I'm used to, you hire people, you select people based upon the things they've accomplished, not just what they say they're going to accomplish. And it is very frightening to a lot of people that you'd elect as the nominee of the Democratic Party somebody who has not yet had the opportunity to actually lead.
The problem for a lot of people, Mitt, is they look at this candidate for the Republicans, John McCain, and they say, well, okay, he's much better than Barack Obama, but he's still for a massive cap and trade. I mean, you've got Barack Obama, he's going to cripple coal, and John McCain's isn't that bad, but it's still a cap and trade program. And so they look at it and say, okay, well, what is the difference here? And I know there are, but how would you address the cap and trade on the day where everybody's paying attention to coal?
Well, as you know, there were a number of places in the primary campaign where I disagree with John McCain, and his cap and trade proposal is one of them. I would hope to be able to convince him that before you put in place a cap and trade program on the U.S., that there must be participation by countries like China. It does not make sense to me to have any form of unilateral disarmament. If you want to negotiate with somebody and you feel it's important to bring down global CO2 emissions, then China has to be part of the picture. And if we go out there and put a burden on our own industry and they don't put a burden on theirs, well, you'll just kill jobs here. So it's a place where I would endeavor to convince my own candidate that we can do a better job.
There was a story today, and I haven't had a chance to fully read it yet. It was talking about the protectionist policies of the Democrats coming in, and how that they are just they are going to be emboldened and start to enact some of the protectionist policies that they've been chomping at the bit for the last few years and been really talking about. And quite honestly, man, I haven't read the story in its total yet, and I know when I read protectionist policies, again, I go back to the Great Depression and say that's one of the big problems that we had. What are the policies that you're seeing coming from this Democratic Congress that they're chomping at the bit for that worry you?
Well, the biggest, of course, is this card check. That worries me enormously. But then you hit on the second one. Protectionism sounds wonderful, which is the idea that we're going to protect our companies, our industry from foreign competition. But the other side of protectionism is that the people we trade with are not entirely stupid. If we say we're not going to let their goods and services in, they won't let our goods and services in. It works both ways. And 1 out of 6 jobs in this country is associated with sending goods and services to other countries. Export, in other words. And so you start talking protectionism, we're going to have an enormous job loss on the part of entrepreneurial businesses. Now, yeah, maybe some of the steel companies and auto companies would feel better for a while, but not for very long. Because you put protectionist barriers up, it's going to hurt us, and it's going to hurt everybody else.
This is probably the last time that we'll get to speak here for a while, and the election is tomorrow. What is the one thing that you feel if people would just hear, they would understand the importance of this election and their vote and which one to vote for?
Well, the country's going to take a new direction as of Wednesday morning. And if we elect Barack Obama, we're going to take a sharp left turn following Europe. and just look at the experience of Europe over the last 30 years. No job growth, high unemployment, anemic overall economic growth. It is the wrong course for America, and a protectionist, government-managed economy is not a successful economy. The American path is the far superior way to go. We're going through a crisis right now caused by an anomaly in the subprime mortgage business, which is nutty that it has this big impact, but it does. But my goodness, let's not walk down the path of Europe. Things there are a lot worse than they are here.
All right. Mitt, thank you very much. We'll talk to you again, Governor.